Hello and welcome to this lesson where we're going to outline a few of the most popular ebook publishing services and take a look at their cover art requirements. It's important to know the required cover art dimensions, color mode, and file specifications before you begin your cover art design. We're going to do a quick overview of Amazon Kindle, the Google Play Bookstore, and Apple iBooks. So first up, we have the very popular Kindle Direct Publishing, and we have here the Create a Catalog and Cover Image page. Now, the way I found this was just by doing a very quick Google search, and you want to be mindful to try to find the official documentation as opposed to information that may be stored on a different site or a blog, because that could be A, outdated, or B, incorrect. So always try to find the official pages for your reference. So down here we have this document that is split up into several different categories. So we have dimensions, and basically the requirements for the size of your cover art here are an ideal height width ratio of 1.6. So what we're concerned with for the best quality, especially as designers. So the it states that the height or the width should be 2820 pixels by 4500 pixels. So that is what we're going to be focusing on using for our two projects. So 2820 for the width and then 4500 for the height. And then down here, important, we cannot accept any image larger than 10,000 pixels. So we're not going to have to worry about that. And then color. This is pretty much standard across all of them. We're going to be using RGB, which is red, green, blue color mode. And generally there are two different color modes, which is RGB and then CMYK. Now CMYK is generally reserved for print. So if you had the anticipation of having your ebook eventually printed, you would want to convert that first to CMYK. So RGB is generally reserved for screen displays, as it's able to produce over 16 million colors with these three colors here. All right, and that's basically all we're concerned with. It's just the color, the dimensions, and then of course also the file extensions that they accept, which is JPG or TIFF. All right, so the next one we have here is the Google Bookstore. And this is the page that I found. And what's interesting is they don't really specify any type of required dimensions. They do have a file size limit here, 2 gigabytes, which we're not going to have to worry about that. They give you the file formats such as JPEG, TIFF, PDF, or PNG for the covers. But what's interesting is I did a search on the Google Play Bookstore just to browse, just to see what these dimensions are, or the ratios at least. And what's interesting is if we look at these examples here, they all pretty much fill out the space except for this one. It's not very high. And then also especially this one. If we look at this, we'll see that it doesn't really look like a normal book cover, but they allow it. So the important thing to remember is you can still use and upload the 2820 by 4500 version that we create for our two projects, and it will work just fine here. And then finally we have the Apple iBooks. And this is the page that I found, which is for the iBooks store publishing overview. And they give you some requirements about what you need to do in order to publish. And so that you get an Apple ID, get a Books account, and then down here, download iTunes Producer, which is the application you use to deliver your book to the iBook store. And so this page specifically doesn't give you any type of information about your cover art, but the documentation for iTunes Producer, which is a PDF file, does give you that information. And it's a long document, but you can always just hit Control F or Command F to find cover and specifying cover art assets. And it tells you basically right here, the cover art, also known as the marketing image or jacket, should be at least 1400 pixels along the smaller axis. And that means the width, basically. All right, so if you're going to upload one to the iTunes store, you would want to make sure that the width here is at least 1400 pixels. But ideally, you would want to specify or just use the 2820 by 4500 that we use. And that is it. So again, just going over this, it's very important to get the official documentation as opposed to something that someone wrote on a blog, because that could always be incorrect or outdated. All right, so I'll see you in the next lesson, and that's going to be Cover Design Fundamentals.